Get ready for a fight, Florida anglers. We've got Guy Harvey with us, trolling deep and running wide for our species of the week.
That's right, Bree. It's the blue marlin, one of my favorite fish. They're fast, they're powerful, they're built for long runs, so watch out.
That's right, and whether it's a blue or a white, it's game on for Marlin on the Florida Insider Fisher Report, which starts now.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, presented by Yamaha.
All right, it's that time of the week. Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report. I'm Bree Gabrielle, and luckily my partner in fish, Captain Rick Murphy, is back to talk big game legends. And really, Rick, who better to talk about Marlin than the legend himself, Dr. Guy Harvey?
You know what he told me when we were kind of rehearsing that 5 years of age, he got fascinated with blue marlin.
For real, growing up in Jamaica, my parents, they farmed and they fished for blue marlin. So from a very early age, we were exposed to them. I was absolutely taken with that fish.
Well, I can see why you did such a big deal of Hemingway's book, the Old Man in the Sea, whatever.
Yeah, no, that came along when my mum first introduced me to the book, age 12, 13. And I thought, wow, I can do a better job of illustrating this book than the guy who did, because he made the marlin look like a goldfish with a bill. So off I went, age 17, doing all those drawings.
And some of those pencil drawings, that's his pencil, right?
Pen and ink.
Pen and ink.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Man, see, that's the difference between the inshore and offshore.
There you go. Well, we're going to talk about this and so much more a little later. We won't keep you all waiting any longer and begin the Marlin Mania in the Panhandle region with Captain Pat Deneen. And Pat, your photos really say it all, so why don't you get us started?
Hey, Bree, I tell you what, with deep water to the DeSoto Canyon, only 60 miles off our beach, with a 100-fathom curve, a little over 30 miles off our beach, because of this, because of our location, we have access to some of the best blue marlin fishing in the state. With blue marlin being caught every month of the year, with May through October being the best time of year to definitely target them. And then we have good white marlin fishing, especially in the fall. The fads at the spur have really enhanced our offshore fishery, with more fads in the future being planned, mostly in that probably 300 to 250 foot. It's a little bit shallower, but still there's a lot of structure out there that attracting these pelagics. And in addition, we were hop, skipping, and jump to the deep water oil rigs where many blues are regularly caught year-round. And at the rigs and at the fads, live bait with tuna accounts for a lot of the blue marlin catches. Patrolling a mixed spread of lures and natural baits lets you cover way more water, and many a blue marlin is caught this way. If you want to target the white marlins, typically guys are going to be pulling a couple dredges, some teasers, and a whole bunch of naked ballyhoos. And again, I mentioned that the fall, August, September, out there by the 131 hole and the elbow and the nipple is fantastic white marlin and sail fishing. And there's a photo there I sent in of the Team Supreme, and that's how riggers look on the Team Supreme after they spend a weekend offshore as they're airing out their laundry. What a couple of days of fishing they had. I think it counted up over 10 blue marlin flags and a white marlin flag flying there. So
wow.
Those that's the photo I was talking about.
That's serious fishing. Congratulations on that,
class,
guys.
Man.
It sure is. All right, tell us about the wahoo, bub.
Rick, I tell you what, like I said, staying offshore, wahoo have been a really common bycatch recently for offshore bottom fishing boats who are trolling high-speed lures to and from the fishing ground, and also keeping a lure in the water as they travel between spots. You want to pick lures that run good at your cruise speed, or at least your slow cruise speed. Tremblers and jet heads are standard wahoo lures, and a trolling lead will help keep them tracking straight and also keep them in the water and keep them a little deeper. Red and black, red and purple, purple and black are all great color combinations. And if you want to specifically target wahoo, troll for wahoo, troll the deeper breaks like Mingo Ridge, the Southwest Edge, and the Knuckle. And keep an eye out for any floating debris you may find. They often hold wahoo. And there's a photo there sent by Randy and Candace Howell. And when you're out there trolling between spots hoping for a wahoo, this is what you're hoping to find at your spot. What a tremendous 40-inch, 38-pound red snapper caught on the Plain to Sea out of Destin. What a pig of a snapper that one is, Rick.
Giant. All right, let's go inshore there, bub.
Yeah, moving inshore, man. The tarpon fishing, they were a bit weird on the full moon last week, but they're back to normal. We're seeing a good amount of fish migrate along the beach, but more and more fish seem to be wanting to loiter, especially around the piers and the reef balls. When you find these tarpon, stay well away from them. Use fluorocarbon leaders and, a little bit of finesse and trying not to step on them too hard while you're baiting them or presenting them lures to them. I like 7/0 circle hooks baited with herrings, cigar minnows, or pilchards, but fluke-style soft plastic twitch baits in pearl, pink, or chartreuse can also be really good, and you also have some tremendous topwater bites with those lures. There's a photo of Fred Myers, of Panama City's famous, red fisherman. He's known for his red fishing, but he knows how to catch tarpon too, and he's releasing a nice, healthy tarpon he caught off Shell Island. And then finally, inshore, the big Jack Crevalles have being caught in the back bays, especially Choctahatchee Bay. I saw some just yesterday out in the middle of the bay blowing up on top as I was coming home. But you can primarily find them in areas with lots of bait, generally menhaden, but you will also see schools of mullet or schools of Jack Crevalle pushing mullet up and down the flats and shorelines. It's kind of a run and gun fishery. When you see the action, run to it real quickly. A topwater skidder style lure like a Berkeley Jaywalker works really quickly and aggressively across the top is the way to go. And these bay jacks are bigger than your typical beach jacks. These bay jacks are running up to and over 40 pounds, so they're the big bruiser variety.
All right, Pat, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Heroes on the Water hotspots from the Panhandle region. Pat says that inshore, June grass, it's clearing up a bit, and the Topsail State Park Beach is alive with bluefish and some redfish and a few pompanos. Then offshore, keep an eye out for the bait. It's ready while you're offshore for cobias. Guess what? A lot of them have been showing up on the rays, the turtles, and just swimming up to the boat while the bottom fishing.
So stay ready. All right, if you're finding mahi in the Northeast region, you might be saying, got me a Marlin with Captain Tommy Derringer. Hello, Tommy. I just can't let that go.
Hey,
Sorry.
Bree, I knew I could count on you. I knew I could count on that.
Yep.
Marlin, every year,
Every
you're right.
year.
We have an awesome Marlin fishery here in the Northeast region. You don't hear about it a whole lot, but there are some hardcore Marlin anglers with the right equipment. They do get after them in my region. They do really well. Those guys that do target the Marlin tell me the best time of year is going to be usually mid-April through about mid-June, but you can catch them year-round. They really like the water temperature to be, about upper 70s to low 80s, and most of those Marlin are caught in the spring, but when they are looking for them that time of year, they're looking for the typical weed lines, temperature breaks, and current edges. And while you're out there, like you mentioned, there's some huge dolphin being caught because that's what those Marlin are out there chasing. They're caught as a bycatch when using bigger baits or lures when people are searching for those Marlin. Now, if you're looking to catch a Marlin this time of year during the summer months, you're probably going to want to be closer to the east side of the Gulf Stream, out something like maybe 1,200 feet or so. Start about 60 to 70 miles out and head east. That would probably be the ticket. It's a long way to go for them, but it's worth it. The go-to method would be trolling a variety of lures, especially those in like a dolphin color pattern, around 8 to 10 knots. But you can also drag horse ballyhoo, big Spanish mackerel, and a variety of other dead baits a little bit slower in that 6 to 8 knot range. And maybe, just maybe, you can get you a Marlin. But staying offshore, guys, before we get to the mangrove snapper, I thought I'd give a little recap of this year's short but nice red snapper season. But what I can tell, everybody I talked to easily caught their limit. There was some giant fish caught, but the average seemed to be right about 8 to 12 pounds. Now, the consensus was there was more than enough red snapper to go around, which I think everybody knows. But in the meantime, until next red snapper season, the mangrove snapper bite has been great over the last couple of weeks in the region. Should continue for at least the next month or so. Those snapper are schooled up and spawning this time of year. The better bite's going to be around the bigger moons, but even between the moons, there's still a really good bet. I spoke to Captain Jimmy Laidler. He tells me he's been limiting out on those mangoes on pretty much every trip here recently. He's fishing in about 150 or 115 feet to out to about 130. He's chumming heavily, mostly using cut sardines, but you can chum with a variety of different things. Use a long 30-pound fluorocarbon leader and a small, maybe a 3/0 Eagle Claw circle hook. And I've got a picture here. This is Jason Schumermond with a stout mango that he caught aboard the Legend with Captain Jimmy Laidler.
All right, let's go inshore, Tommy.
Yeah, man, Rick, the snook bite continues to be great in the south end of the region. I spoke to my brother, Captain Todd Derringer. He tells me he's been on an awesome snook bite from High Bridge on up to Palm Coast. Captain Todd said his clients have been tossing topwater plugs like that Berkeley Jaywalker early, and then subsurface lures like a saltwater assassin, paddletail, or a live shrimp once that sun comes up and it starts to warm up a little bit. He's been finding the schools of snook by simply listening for them popping bait. It's a pretty distinct sound. You can hear that early in the morning, then right again before dark. There's no mistaking that snook pop. I'm sure Rick has heard it a million times. Now, Todd said he's been catching quite a few snook under the docks in Palm Coast and in the canals by tossing a free-line live shrimp under those docks. And speaking of that, I got another picture here. This is Sarah Noonan with a stud Northeast Florida snook. That's a good one for us that she caught with Captain Todd Derringer in the Palm Coast canals. Now, also inshore, guys, I got to talk about redfish again this week. Man, the redfish bite has been so dang good over the last few weeks. It's been super fun. We have an awesome tide this weekend for targeting those redfish. Low tide being early in the morning, it's going to be a great time to get out and look for those redfish up feeding real shallow. There's still a ton of shrimp around, especially from the north end of St. Augustine on up to Mayport. For me, the best lure to match those little shrimps here recently has been that Gulp Nemesis prawn. We've had a lot of rain, the water's murky, so having a little scent of the fish has been working really well. Of course, a cut piece of mullet or a cut piece of crab has also been working great, especially once the sun gets up and things start to warm up. Those fish tend to get a little lazy this time of year when that happens. But we've been catching a lot of upper to overslot fish, and speaking of that, I got one last picture here. This is my man, John from 904fish.com with an overslot red that he caught with me earlier this week.
All right, Tommy, go get you some water. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the strike zone hotspots from the Northeast region. Tommy says inshore, look along the edges of the ICWs on the early morning low tide areas holding concentrations of bait will have flounder, redfish, and trout hanging underneath them. And then offshore, the mangrove and mutton snappers from 115 feet and deeper chum heavily and use cut sardines.
All right, get ready, anglers. We're about to hear all things Marlin for rigs and techniques at the CCA Workbench with Rick and Dr. Guy Harvey. What a duo over there, guys. My goodness.
You think we can educate everybody a little bit, just a little bit about how to catch a blue or a white marlin in Florida?
Well, yeah, we can. The main thing you've got to have, the main ingredient is patience. You know that.
That's right.
I like it.
We're trolling for a bite.
Patience. And then Mike Holliday in the Alto Equipment East region has your inshore, offshore, and bass report ready to go. So stay hooked, and we'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Fenwick. Feel everything. ACR. Less search, more rescue. Scientific Anglers. Failure is not an option. Penn. Let the battle begin. Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome. And Daiquiri Deck. Food, drinks, friends.
Well, as you can see, we're here at the CCA Workbench, and you know what? We brought in our marlin specialist. Dave's out this week. Dr. Guy Harvey. Guy, a lot of people don't know this, but you really became infatuated with the blue marlin, or marlin in general, at a very young age.
I did. I'm sorry Dave isn't here, to be honest with you. Worked with him for years. Anyway, point being, we're here now. Blue marlin fishing in the 60s and 70s was all using deadbait growing up in Jamaica. Techniques have changed so much in the last few decades, lures, high speed, etc. So let's get into it.
All right, so you know what? Back in the day, you guys were using J hooks. Not a good thing for the fish.
On deadbait, because we wanted to kill every single fish, and in those days we landed all the fish.
Right.
Nowadays it's all changed.
And so now we go to big circle hooks. The reason why?
Well, circle hooks with bait, the hook theoretically hooks a fish in the corner of the jaw rather than in the gullet, which you can do with the J hook. And people don't realize how much damage a J hook will do. It'll actually slide inside the fish and eviscerate from inside.
Oh,
so you can release a fish and think, wow, that fish is healthy, and bet money it's going to live, but it doesn't. And only a satellite tagging exercise proved just how detrimental J hooks are to billfish.
All right, so Guy, let's talk a little bit about most guys in Florida. They're going to be dead bait trolling. You've done a little cool little artwork there for us. Let's talk a little bit about how we're going to set the boat up.
Sure. Do understand this is my rig though, Rick, what I use at home.
Okay.
So, I typically pull 5 lines and boats going in that direction, and I love teaser fishing because it's the most exciting way to fish for billfish.
Right.
The thing about that no hook is that the fish will come up time and time again on the teaser, especially if they're hungry. And your backstop are 2 or 3 lines with hooks, whether it's a lure or a bait with a hook. The teaser fishing is the most exciting form of fishing you can have, because you see the fish bite, you put the pitch bait out there, it's a team effort, you remove the teaser, hook the fish up. What a lot of people don't realize is how quickly you can actually put drag on that fish.
So let's roll the video of
Yeah.
some underwater and tell me what you guys learned by filming this underwater here.
We did this with Skip Smith and the Fads off Costa Rica, specifically to learn how fast blue marlin eat the bait. Here we got one Cadillacing along, waiting for the bait to come along. And in a minute, you'll see we use little bonitas, or there we go, bang, he's got a tuna in his mouth, stops swimming, head up, puffs and swallows it. Got another one there. So he ate 2 baits within 3 seconds there. And that goes to show how fast they eat the bait. And you don't need to give them a long drop back, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And I think that's a good point. Come back on over here.
Yeah.
You know, I think what we really need to understand, guys, the drop back is because the fish, you said, stops and the boat is pulling away, correct?
Well, the line coming off your reel is because the boat is pulling away from the fish. They all stop, all species of marlin and sailfish. They stop, head up position, they chew for a brief second. Marlins will pop it down in 1 or 2 seconds, sailfish maybe 4. So sailfish you give a long drop back, marlins you give a very quick drop back.
All right, speaking of that, let's stay with the bait portion of this for a second. If we're using big live baits,
Right, with a big old 20-0 circle hook, yeah.
what we would typically use a bonita, you like, because why?
I like bonitas because they last long. The bullet bonita is also a very good bait, small yellowfins, especially if you're fishing around fads or oil rigs, somewhere that's a fixed point or a little seamount. Great place to do it because you're not covering much ground. If you're covering ground, you want to be pulling lures.
Okay, so speaking of lure fishing, one last thing here.
Yeah.
What about the drag when you're live bait fishing?
Again, I went to the Skip Smith School of Lure Fishing, and he loves to use a very light drag on the lures. Sharp hooks, mind you, smaller hook. We use 8 or 9-0 tuna blade hooks, very sharp point with a light drag. His theory being that as the fish peels the line off the reel, so the drag increases slowly on the fish and the hook settles better. If you have a heavy drag like 15, 20, 30 pounds, you might just rip that hook clean out of the fish's mouth.
Okay.
And it's spooked. It's not coming back.
Now, what about a guy that doesn't have bait? He wants to be trolling lures. What should we do there, guy?
Well, trolling lures with J hooks is fine. Just rig them properly. Use a smaller lure at the back of your spread, bigger lures closer to the boat. The fish, the marlin, are attracted to the wake. They love the boat. They come in to see what's going on. In the open ocean, white water or foam signifies a feeding event for them, so they're naturally attracted to the boat, and we have proven that without lures in the water too, under the hooker. So the other part is that if you're going to use a bait, use the right size of hook. You know, if you're going to use a ballyhoo, use a little circle hook like that, probably an 8-0. If you're using a 5-pound bonita for a big marlin, like I saw in the videos, you're going to use a big circle hook, like a 20-0. The other point about not overfeeding the fish is that when they jump and they throw up the bait, the circle hook doesn't have a chance to catch in the corner of the jaw, so the whole lot comes out at once if you've overfed it, because it's gone to his stomach. So you want to give him a short drop back, bing, got him on, off you go.
All right, there's a lot of science going on over here at the Rigs and Techniques. We have a lot more to talk about. A little bit later, you're going to be talking about some science that we have with the foundation. But Bree, we got to go to another region. Where are we headed?
Yes, we do. Well, there's no better time to get out deep into the Alto Equipment East region and find those blues. So let's tackle up with Captain Mike Holliday. Go for it, Mike.
Yeah, you know, Bree, you can catch marlin in my region any time of the year, but July and August are by far the top blue marlin months. The best way to catch a marlin is to target them, but the majority of marlin that are hooked in the Alto Equipment East region, they eat baits that are intended for other species, and a lot of times that leaves the angler a little bit undergunned. If you're going to target them, target them. Target them by trolling big live baits like a rigged bonita or a blackfin tuna, and then working the drop off Lost Tree Village or the atolls like Push Button Hill. You can also pull big lures in my region, black and orange, I call it the Halloween color, or black and pink seem the more popular colors. We also see some white marlin in the region, particularly in the winter months. Most of those fish are small, like under 50 pounds, and a lot of anglers run over to the Bahamas this time of the year to target blue marlin and white marlin, both off the Abacos and off Walker's Cay. The average blue marlin in our region is going to be like 100 to 300 pounds. We see them as considerably larger, though. I have a photo of Captain Glenn Cameron of the Floridian charter boat out of Stewart. He hooked this nice blue marlin in 240 feet of water, and that fish ate a trolled ballyhoo. The other thing we got going, the mangrove snapper bite on the shallow reefs at less than 80 feet of water has really been outstanding the last probably 2 weeks, particularly off Bethel Shoals, the offshore bar, and some of the outside reefs off Peck's Lake. In July and August, a lot of the larger snapper moved closer to shore and school up to spawn, so we're also seeing good pushes of nice mangroves around all the inlets and on the patch reefs in 25 to 40 feet of water. And you target the fish by anchoring up and chumming with glass minnows or small pilchards, then dropping down anything from a chunk of ballyhoo or sardine or cigar minnow to a bonito strip on a jig. You can also use live pilchards, pinfish, or sand perch. The average mangrove we're going to see is going to be like 1 to 3 pounds, but we get mangrove snapper to 10 pounds or more pretty commonly in my region. Don't overlook the nighttime snapper bite as a way to beat the summer heat and do some good grocery shopping. I have a photo. Captain Jonathan Earhart sent me this shot of a nice mangrove snapper they got on the 6 Mile Reef, and that fish ate a dead sardine.
That fish also made that young man the snapper king, Mike.
Yeah,
so
did.
let's go
Yes, he
inshore,
did.
dude.
Well, so coming off the full moon, the catch and release snook action has been very consistent along the beaches in places like Hope Sound Wildlife Refuge, Normandy Beach, Walton Rocks Beach, and also along the Rio Mar stretch of Vero Beach. The Lake Worth and Juneau Piers are also producing fish, particularly at night. That's when the snook move in to feed on the bait schools. And don't overlook the spillways in Boynton, Jupiter, Palm City, and Port St. Lucie. We've had all this rain this week. They're running hard, and there's a lot of fish on them. And on the beaches and piers, live sardine and pilchards are the top baits, although if sight casting is your game, a 4-inch copper juice colored sea shad or a small green and white baitfish fly is going to be good on those snook. At the spillways, big jigs are the game, man. Artemis shad, R&R flarehawk jigs or big swimming plugs are the way to go. And the average snook right now is 8 to 18 pounds, but I got a photo of a real big one that was caught at the C24 spillway. Captain Jason Arman sent me that shot. That fish fell for a swimming plug.
Boy, it sure did. All right, what else you got?
Well, we continue to see improvements in the seagrass growth in the Indian River, particularly in St. Lucie and Indian River counties. And that's really ramped up the sea trout bite in places like the flats in front of Big and Little Mud Creeks, off Middle Cove, Bear Point, and also along the dock lines along Indian River Drive around Walton Road and Savannah Road. The bite's been early from dawn to about 8:30, and then again right before dark, low light when it's the coolest point of the day. For bait, you could throw a live shrimp, a pinfish, a pilchard, or a pigfish, put them out on a saltwater assassin quick cork, and a lot of anglers are just going with soft plastics like a drunk monkey shad or a gray ghost 4-inch saltwater assassin shrimp. Just cover a little more water and locate the fish better with those soft plastics. Average trout's 1 to 4 pounds, but I've seen photos of fish to 8 pounds this week. And Captain Eric Davis of Vero Beach, he's been on the trout every morning on the moorings flats right at dawn. The fish he sent me a photo of, they caught that on a small topwater plug.
All right, let's talk a little bit about bass fishing. What has this rain done?
Well, you know, it's raising the water levels in Okeechobee and cooling things down. They're up to 11.5 feet, but you still kind of need to be careful navigating around. I was talking to Captain Nathan Schoen of OkeechobeeBassFishing.com. He said the shad are starting to spawn in the grass at night, so the dawn shad bites really producing some explosive topwater bites. The best places have been around Kings Bar and Observation Shoal. You can also throw white spinner baits, swim jigs, and fluke cell baits. And if you're in those schooling fish and not getting bit, he said you want to drop down to a smaller lure to get the bite. Sometimes a lot of those shads are on the smaller side. There's also been a decent lipless crankbait bite right along the edges of the grass line in the boat channels right at first light. And then when the shad bite tapers off, move to the deeper canals in the Rim Canal, work small prop baits, spy baits, or a black and blue tap hut worm, rigged Senko style. Right now it's a 20 to 30 fish morning on Okeechobee. Average bass 1 to 4 pounds, guys.
Man, thank you so much. 20 to 40 fish morning. That sounds fun to me. Let's take a look at the TH Marine hotspots from the East region. Mike says inshore, tarpon at dawn in Big Mud Creek, live mullet or crabs or Houdini colored saltwater assassin 4-inch sea shad. And then offshore, sailfish in 90 to 160 feet of water from Hobe Sound to Jensen Beach. Live threadfin, sardines, pilchards, or goggle eyes for those sailfish are going to really work.
40 fish morning. What? That sounds amazing. All right, well, catching a marlin is almost every offshore angler's dream, but for the last 10 years, catching a star-tagged redfish has also been a dream for so many Florida anglers. But this year, in the CCA Florida Star competition presented by Yamaha, there have already been 7 star-tagged redfish recaptured, but none of them have been registered in the competition or a CCA member.
Hard.
Oh, but you know what? If they had been, they would have had their chance at winning Carolina Skiff, Seabourn, Spider, Micro Draft Skiff Boat, Motor Package, and Trailer Package. There are still over 45 days left of fishing in the competition. And here's another reminder that Charlotte and Citrus County have 8 tagged redfish in their waters, and lots of winners have come from these counties in the past. Hint, hint, get out there and enter any fish you can in the CCA Florida Star competition to win your share of $500,000 in prizes. Go to ccaflstar.com.
You know what I think I want to do? I want to create a wah
I know.
award and sponsor it. Have the Florida
Award.
Insider Fisher Report sponsor it. Let's just
I think
do
that
it
sounds
next
great.
year.
I love it.
Because we'll
Next year.
get all the exposure.
Well, hopefully not. All right, well, we're trolling into the Central East region when we come back for a weekend of catching memories. And then the Black Oak LED Keys region captain, Ridge Murphy, is letting us in on a few of his marlin chasing tips. We'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Power Pole, Total Boat Control, Berkeley, Your Fish, Our Science, Bahio, Blue Light Blocking, Radically Clear Polarized Fishing Sunglasses, Guy Harvey, every purchase helps support the health of our oceans and marine life. Penn, let the battle begin. Kubota, together we do more. And Heroes on the Water, paddle, fish, heal.
We're welcoming you back with our captain in the Central East region, Jim Ross, who has plenty to say about this weekend's bite. So let's start with your marlin report, Jim. Hello, and thank you for being my co-host last week.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jimmy. You did a good job.
It was a lot of fun and my pleasure. I always have a blast when filling in for you, Rick. And, Bree just makes things just so easy. She's the best. But, that wah, 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 that's kind of the way that the marlin fishing is in the Central East region, to be real honest with you. Guys around here just aren't really all that enthusiastic about chasing marlin. And it's kind of unfortunate because we do have a pretty good fishery through the summer months. But, the guys that are here on the Space Coast are typically running to the other side of the Gulf Stream to catch yellowfin tuna and blackfin tuna. And we do catch, as bycatch, we do catch some blue marlin while doing that. Typically the guys are pulling, if you're specifically targeting marlin, you're going to hear this from all the guys this week throughout the entire state. Every guy's going to have the same report. A little bit bigger lures, a little bit faster than you would standard trolling. And this is how, you go 7 to 10 knots or so. This is how you get them. For white marlin, however, you can stay with standard dolphin size trolling lures and catch that just as easily. And of course, if you pull smaller lures, you might necessarily not catch that bigger blue marlin, but you will have a shot at the other species that are over there, the yellowfin and blackfin tuna, and of course those white marlin species. But April through June is typically when the whites tend to be best, and then again October through December, and then the average blue is anywhere from about April through October, and blues run 125 to 300 pounds on average, so they're not super big, but they're big enough, and the whites typically run about 60 to 90 pounds. Now I've got a picture here of a great dolphin bait that Sonny Richards sent in to me, but it was a fantastic catch for this young angler right here, and I was really proud to be able to put that on because that made me smile.
All right, Jimmy, your audio's going in and out a little. Stay close to that mic for me, please.
Will do, buddy. Appreciate that. My next species is deep drop, and the yellow edge and golden tile and various other species, blue line tile, are all out there for you guys and gals to get your fish box ice turned from clear to red. So get out there and do some deep dropping right now. 450 to about 750 feet of water is where you're going to find most of these fish. And of course, it is a specialized type of gear where electric reels and multiple hook rigs are the typical setups that are used. But during calm summer months, I even talk to guys once in a while that try to go in vertical jig deep fish, which is really interesting to me. That seems like a lot of work, but it can be very, very productive. While it's calm in the summertime, you can run out in the morning and get on these fish and be back after thunderstorms kick in. So it's a pretty good fishery right now. We're getting some really nice fish, as evidenced by this next fish that, once again, Captain Sonny Richards out of Sebastian sent me of this nice golden tile that he recently caught.
Nice. Wow. All right, let's go inshore.
Redfish, Rick. The redfish bite remains good on all the beaches and all 3 lagoons right now. Now, as I mentioned last week, we seem to have had an influx of redfish pushing into our inshore waters over the past couple of weeks. And we still have some cold water upwellings along the coast. And I think that may be helping to push some of the beach fish inside. So saltwater assassin 4-inch sea shad, especially the slammin' shad, the northern minnow, and the Mama's 14K colors are working really well right now, especially around the Sebastian and Cocoa Beach areas of the lagoons. Now, up in the Mosquito Lagoon, live jumbo shrimp and small croakers or pigfish are working, and that is in the heavily grassed areas on the tops of the bars and on the edges of the bars, like Tiger Shoal, Cucumber Bar, George's Bar, places like that. Those pigfish are key whenever you can't really see the fish, but if you see them tailing, that jumbo shrimp, just free line and cast out there is money on those redfish that are averaging about 22 to 34 inches. Got a nice fish picture of one that we actually caught on the beach here while we were snook fishing. And of course, there's plenty of fish out there that are this size right now for you guys and gals to go chase. Right. And then my last species is snook. And the Captain Brian Pounds out of Edgewater said that the snook bite around Ponce is really red hot right now. Brian has been targeting snook around the docks and rock piles in the Edgewater and New Smyrna areas. He says live croakers are his go-to bait most of the time when he's fishing in the daytime. But he says in the morning or in the evening or at night, assassin sea shad tails have been working really good. That Artemis shad in particular, it's a little bit bigger profile. You can also, if you're bouncing on the bottom, just the straight tail shad, like the one Rick was just showing, works really good. The big snook are common. The fish up in the mid to upper 30-inch range right now. And I got a picture here of Jimmy Devine with a nice snook that Captain Brian put him on the other day.
All right, man. Well, thank you again for filling in for me. It's time for us to take a look at the Rodan Marine Systems hotspots. I'm sure I'll see you this weekend. He says inshore, the snook at the inlets use live mullet, croaker, or menhaden for fish up to 40 inches. And then offshore, the king mackerels and 70 to 90 foot reefs slow troll with live baits or frozen cigar minnows on a double treble hook stinger rig.
All right, Rick. Whoa, that's a lot. All right, we're in luck when it comes to finding marlin in the Black Oak LED Keys region because Captain Ridge Murphy is letting us in on his big game secrets. Go for it, Ridge.
What?
You know, in close competition to its harping, the marlin is one of my favorite fish to chase. Here in the Black Oak LED region, there's several fish caught throughout the year. Most of the marlin caught here in the Keys are bycatch blues and whites on the kites in the springtime, or blues on the daytime sword rod or blind trolling while mahi fishing during the summertime. Some guys will target these billfish trolling spreads down in Key West during the spring and summer months. And if there was ever a time to target marlin, I suggest planning your trips around the full moon, preferably leading up to the moon. Making the decision between trolling a bait spread or lure spread can be important, but make the decision based off of your angler's capability. Do I have guys that will pay attention to the baits and fish them properly, or do I need to drag 4 lures and some squid chains around to cover some ground at faster speeds? Dragging baits like chin-leaded swimmers or chugger-headed ballyhoos with an 8-0 Eagle Claw circle hook on 80 to 100-pound leader on 30-wide internationals trolling 6 to 8 knots will get you a nice presentation that will keep you in the game to catch billfish, but also some smaller mahis. While lure fishing with your select choice of lures on 30s to 50 wides with 250 to 400-pound leaders will allow you to drag and snag, so to speak, trolling at speeds anywhere from 8 to 10 knots. This will eliminate some of the smaller bycatch, but keep you in the game strictly to marlin fish. Marlin are pelagic fish, and so you don't want to be scared to go out to the deeper edges, and they feed on mahis, tunas, squids, flying fish, and more. Look for this as you're trolling, and life will create life. I have a photo of a marlin that was caught by my dad with me while we were filming the Sports and Adventures.
Yeah, that was a cool day, bub. That was really
That was a
neat to
fun
watch you wire that fish while I got to catch him. All right, let's go on. What else you got for us this week?
You know, the mahi-mahis are overrunning the Keys from 800 to 1,000 feet of water. Look for scattered weeds and debris. The birds were staying on the fish pretty good, and over the last few weeks, the fish are starting to get a little bigger in the 23 to 26-inch range, so the majority of the fish that you're catching are keepers. If you start to see some smaller fish, it's okay to move on to the next set of birds. There's plenty of fish around to move on to. And have a big fish rod ready for those bigger mahis that may show up that you're trying to stick with. And if you want to stick with the theme species, you can always take a 50 wide for a boat ride and troll a wide range style to try and get one of the billfish that are working around these mahi schools. There's been a few caught the last couple weeks.
All right, let's go ahead and go inshore.
The juvenile tarpon around the islands and on the shorelines. Pull along the shorelines looking for rolling and waking fish, busting on the shrimps on the surface, or working around the little bait balls. Throw gulp shrimps like in pink or white, rigged weedless, or bass assassin shrimp or little boss, also rigged weedless will work. These fish are ranging from 5 to 30 pounds. So if you can catch them on a medium fast 7-foot spinning rod. Fenwick spinning rod with 30-pound leader, or 8 to 9 weight Hardy fly rods throwing bait fish patterns or gurglers. And I have a photo of my buddy Rod that we fished last week together, and he caught his new personal best tarpon on our trip last week.
All right, bub. Let's go ahead. What else? Redfish.
If we're not chasing bonefish after tarpon fishing, we're getting up on the flats looking for the redfish. And right now, both are really good, but for me, I like to take the redfish. Look for them waking up in big schools up on the crowns of the flats or on the high water. Keep an eye out for stingrays because the fish will be nearby, and also keep an eye out for sharks. These fish will be getting corralled by the sharks like cattle dogs, and you're going to throw a Fenwick Elite 7-foot medium to medium light rod with a Bass Assassin 4-inch C-shad or a 5-inch jerkbait rigged weedless. Take your time pulling along the flats, looking for the fish waking and tailing. And try not to drag the presentation to the fish rather than going away from the fish. Keep that in mind. That'll help you catch a lot more. The water temperatures are starting to get a little hot, so you want to get the fish back into the water as soon as possible. And I have a nice photo of my buddy AJ with a big redfish that was caught with Wiley Bird.
All right, bub. Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the scientific angler hotspots from the Florida Keys region. Ridge says, inshore, juvenile tarpon, first thing in the morning, guys. Look for the groups of fish rolling on the edges of the islands and on the shorelines. Keep an eye out for big busts on shrimp on the surface. And then offshore, guys, the mahi are taking over the Keys, as he says. In 800 to 1,000 feet of water, look for the birds, scattered weeds and debris. You can troll dead bait, ballyhoo, or live baits like pilchards or seaguard minnows. And don't be scared to move to another group of fish to get a bigger one if they're too small.
Look at you two. He threw pops in on the species of
How
the
about
week photo.
that?
I love it. I love it. All right, well, let's dive on in and see what tournaments are going on in the Florida Keys.
Please.
Celebrating its 44th year, the Key West Marlin Tournament features $50,000 in cash prizes in the Marlin division and more in the Fun Fish division as part of the annual Hemingway Days celebration in Key West. Registration is open for up to 75 boats. Then honor the memory of Herman Lucerne, known as Mr. Everglades, while fishing in the Herman Lucerne Memorial Backcountry Championship within the boundaries of Everglades National Park from September 19th through the 21st. Tournament activities are based at the Islander Resort in Isla Mirada. Next, teams fish around the clock in Key Largo from Friday night, September 26th through Sunday afternoon, September 28th, to win coveted trophies for trout, snook, and redfish in the Take Stock in Children Backcountry Tournament. And finally, the Inshore Fishing Association Backcountry Tournament comes to Isla Mirada October 18th for a one-day contest with scores tallied on the eTournament fishing app for the largest catches of trout, redfish, and snook in team, kayak, and kid divisions. For more information on Keys tournaments, go to flakeys.com. But it's ICAST week in Orlando, which means we're gearing up for taco, marine, and new products right here at the CCA Workbench. And then we're making long runs and deep drops into the Northwest region with Captain Jeff Hageman, the most interesting man in the world. We'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Alta Equipment Company, where uptime matters. Ameritrail, load, launch, relax. Abyss Battery, power your pursuit. Rodan, set it, forget it, catch more fish. Discover Crystal River, Florida. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, best lures, period. And Black Oak LED, never be left in the dark.
Well, as you can see, we're about to troll the edge here at Tacos Marine at the CCA workbench.
Yes,
and
we
you know
are.
what? It's not very often that I get to share this spotlight
The
with
new product
you.
section with you,
I'm
right?
so excited. So
I know,
let's
talk about
All
some
right.
new stuff.
tell me about the
All right,
baby.
so Bahio, I'm going to hand these to you. For the new tech collection is the Greenland frame. Large fit, full wrap with flex hinges. Very nice. I like
Very
them.
nice, very
I think they'd be
nice.
a little bit too big on me. But it has a built-in sun ledge to block out the light. 95% blue light block, harsh yellow light, 90%, 100% UV light. I think they look great. This is one of 7 different frame color, or 3 different frame colors, 7 different lens colors that they have.
They did good.
It's
I
nice.
really like it.
Would
And
you wear them?
Of course I would.
Wear all of
And
them.
obviously the best warranty in the business.
Yes.
Call up and somebody answers the phone, and guess what? They
I
give you a
have-
claim number, and you get your glasses back in 5 days.
Yes, you do. I've actually used that warranty many times, and they hold to it.
All right, you going to talk about Starbright?
I think I'm gonna wash on and wax off with this new Starbright wash and wax because it's like a 2-for-1 kind of thing,
It really is.
right?
It
It's
works
watermelon
so well.
scent. I actually did open it earlier.
Yeah. And
It's watermelon.
yeah.
Your car's gonna smell like your boat's gonna smell like watermelon.
So I'm glad
Have
you
you
like
used
the
this?
smell. It's the only thing we use. You know, we just got the new Chittums, and the first thing we did was we put the ceramic coating, the seal. And now when we use, to come bring the boats home, we use the wash and wax as a wash instead of putting nasty chemicals and taking away the ceramic seal away.
And it has UV protection as well in it, correct?
As it absolutely
Yep.
does. So where do we go to find this?
We go to starbright.com
And
for more products.
Bahio
and
Sunglasses.com.
BahioSunglasses.com to get you some of these.
Now it's my turn.
You've got a big deal over here.
So we're
Rick.
gonna go do a Sportsman's Adventures. We're gonna go catch big bluefin tunas, and I want to do it standing up. So I asked Penn to send me the new International 80 wide, and man, what a great product! And what I love about it is that they're machine made right here in the U.S. in Philadelphia. This particular reel, just like most of them that I have, the 50 and the 30 that we had on the show in the Rigs and Techniques with Guy, are 2-speed. The reason why I like the 2-speed so much, Bree, whether it's a big grouper or in this case, we're going to be tackling these big bluefins, you know, fish up to 500, maybe even over that. When that fish starts pinwheeling below the boat,
Yes.
it's really hard to gain any line because when you drop, he's so heavy, he takes the line with you. But
Right.
if you put it in low gear, now you come like a winch on your boat. You're just gonna power winch through the pain. It eliminates the fight, makes it a lot shorter, much healthier for the fish. Certainly pinfishing.com is where you can find out. They have a variety of from 20 all the way up to 130. And remember guys, you know, they're built out of the best products that you can certainly buy. And really, I love everything about it. The DuraDrag system, I want to make sure I don't forget anything. The line capacity, plus we have the reels. You can tell where we are here on the line capacity. Now, another thing that is part of my game here is certainly the fly fishing.
Yes.
Now, Bree, when you go to take your line off, maybe you go from a sinking line to a floating line like we all just experienced with tarpon season starting in April. It's a royal pain in the butt. But guess what? Scientific Anglers has just
listened.
made this very easy. It's
you go.
this simple. You're going to now put this product, all right, now we'll take our fly line on the reel and we're gonna just simply reel it back, just like so. Now we're reeling the line off of the fly rod. All right, now once we get to the end, we take it off of the bimini twist, and we can certainly now, at this point, take it off the spool, put a little tie wrap on each side, and now put it in the box. What's cool about this product is that it stores so nicely and neat and goes away, so you can lay it flat in a box like so.
They just thought of everything. The regulator spool.
Yeah, it's the best. So you go to scientificanglers.com, find out more about it. Plus, they have a whole nother set of tools where you can store your bags. We're going to have that on the new products, where you take your fly line, put it in the bag, and label it so you know what it is down the road.
That's so nice. I love
Isn't
to be
that cool?
organized.
Yeah,
well,
they
we're going
really-
to see so many more products at ICAST this week. I'm so excited
Me too.
for Dave to come back next week and showcase all of them. But you know what? We're going to get ready for Yamaha's Golden Opportunity Finance Offer. From now until September 30th, 2025, purchase a new eligible Yamaha V6 4.2 liter 225, 250, or 300 outboard to get rates as low as 0% APR for 12 months, then 15.99% APR to 20.99% APR thereafter when purchased on a Yamaha credit card. Visit YamahaOutboards.com for complete details. But let's pop on into the Northwest region, and if Marlin are your cup of tea, get ready to run with Captain Jeff Hageman. Go for it, Jeff.
Marlin, we've got them, but you're going to make a long run on our coast to go get them. Most of the time, an overnight trip is in the loop to make it worthwhile. That being said, we don't have a lot of people fishing for them, with it being such a long run, but there are a few tournaments out of my region that still target a lot of billfish and marlin. The Old Salt Loop tournament, the Sarasota Slam, they always have some marlin turned in, but like I said, you're going to make a long run to go get them. But all the standard stuff everybody's talking about today works really good. Soft heads, islanders, blue and white, purple and black are some of my favorites on this coast. Naked or skirted ballyhoo, the jumbo ballyhoo. And as far as live baits go, a 2 to 6 pound bonita or skipjack or small blackfin are great live baits for them. But what we do have, Captain Rob Davenport of Big Nasty Sport Fishing out of St. Pete reports a good Kitty Mitchell or speckled hindbite, catching these beautiful grouper species on ledges and hard bottoms at 325 feet to 400 feet, using 4 to 6 feet of 100 to 130 pound fluorocarbon leader, a pound of lead, 6 to 8 aught hook. Live bait or whole squid works best, says Captain Rob. And I've got a picture of Captain Crystal aboard the Big Nasty of a beautiful speckled hind.
Nice, nice. All right, what else you got this week, bub?
Moving on inshore, Captain Jimmy Huddleston out of Ozona Fish Camp reports big snook bite, really starting to fire it up and chew really good on the outgoing tides. 2 ounces of lead to keep those nose hook pinfish and pinfish pegged down to the bottom in the current, offering that prime zone where you'd be on the bottom right there, drifting through the passes. 40 pound fluorocarbon leader, a 5-aught trocar hook. I'll help you get these bigger fish up right now, and I've got a beautiful fish of a nice snook with Captain Hud.
All right, what else you got, bub? Keep rolling.
Scallop season. Captain Corey Palmer out of Tarpon Springs reports good scalloping right now. Pasco County has been really good right now. Limits have been really easy to obtain. 4 to 6 feet of water. Little tip, get away from the crowds, and if you're not finding good numbers, and get away from everybody. Remember to fly those dive flags and be aware of your surroundings and operate in your boat. It's hot out right now, so enjoy that underwater Easter egg hunt and make sure you're idling around other boats. I've heard a lot of complaints of people running all over the place and all over scallopers out there, so make sure you watch where you're going. If you get near a boat, just slow down, look for scallopers out there. And I've got a cute little photo of Corey's kids with a nice limit of scallops.
Boy, those kids look great. I love it. All right, my man, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Discover Crystal River hotspots. He says that inshore, the snook, they're along the beach and in the passes use pinfish and grunts drifted on the outgoing tide. And then offshore, the mangrove snappers on high relief structure from 40 to 75 feet of water. Small pinfish and cut sardines are going to work for those snappers.
Snappers. Okay, if you're dreaming of blue water and big game, then listen up. The 44th annual Key West Marlin Tournament is next week, July 23rd through the 26th, during the heart of the legendary Key West Hemingway Days in Key West, Florida. Last year's tournament reeled in a whopping $268,000 in cash payouts from the Marlin and Funfish divisions. So bring your crew, bring the family. Key West is calling. Get all the details and lock in your spot now at keywestmarlin.com. All right, the Phillips and Jordan Southwest and StarTron Central West region captains are standing by. Plus, we're having a little sit down with the one and only Dr. Guy Harvey when we come back. I cannot believe that guy. Look at that.
Look at
Live
him.
on
He
set.
can't help but draw on the board.
Don't miss a thing. Swing by our website, tap that like button on Facebook, re-listen on X and Instagram, and cast over to our YouTube channel, Captain Rick Murphy, for fresh fishing, adventures reports, and more. We'll be back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by StarTron. Start, run, and store with StarTron. Berkeley, your fish, our science. CCA Florida, conserving Florida's fisheries since 1985. Frontrunner Boatworks, performance-built offshore fishing boats made in the USA. The Florida Keys and Key West, come as you are. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. And Strike Zone Fishing.
Well, as you can see, we returned to the CCA workbench, but guess what? We're talking about the Guy Harvey Foundation, and with me is Dr. Guy Harvey. You know, Guy, you and I have done some expeditions together, and we went down to Mexico, and one of the things that I remember is certainly some of the talk about white marlin fishing that you have done down there with Anthony. So, you know, let's just get right into the foundation and all the tagging programs in regards to billfish, blue marlin and white marlin that we've experienced.
Great, Rick. So we've done tagging of oceanic fish for 26 years now, published 180 different papers on it. We're very prolific. Billfish, of course, are my love, and so we do all the different billfishes. But the white marlin, which is the subject of today's discussion, we tag them in Isla Mujeres in Mexico with Anthony Mendillo. The tracks that we're seeing are actually pretty interesting. You've got a really long one that goes to the Atlantic, and a shorter one that stays in the Gulf and the Western Caribbean. This really long track was about 140 days, and it's like 5,000 miles.
Wow. And then
The average billfish does 10,000 miles a year easy.
Wow. The second white marlin was tagged. It was
Same place.
Yeah, same
But it
place,
stayed
but
in the
stayed
Gulf.
primarily in the Gulf.
Yeah.
So how does the tag get put
So
on?
we bring the fish in the boat, put it on a mat, cover its eyes to keep it calm, take the hook out, measure it, put the tag in and put it back in the water, all within 45 seconds.
All within 45 seconds.
Yeah. And then one of us dives with the fish to follow it, and that's the fish leaving.
And why is that? Why is that so important to watch the white marlin and all your marlins? Why is that so important, of course?
We like to follow the fish to show the audience that the fish survived the trauma of being caught and being tagged. Only white marlin and sailfish would we ever bring in the boat, because the bigger ones, the blacks and the blues, they're too big and they'll beat you up. So we tag them in the water. But we also like to tell the story of just how well they survive all the capturing process.
Now, certainly we're talking about marlin in tonight's show, so let's talk a little bit about some of the blue marlin stuff you guys have done. Let's roll the video with this particular blue marlin.
We've done a lot of blue marlin. This is actually from the Pacific. My daughter Jessica took this pop-up archival tag in the left shoulder. Perfect release. In the Atlantic, we worked all over the Caribbean. We're working in Cape Verde, the Azores, and the Canary Islands right now. So right across the Atlantic Ocean, we're tracking these wonderful animals because, as everybody realizes, they're more valuable alive than dead, and we can't afford to be killing billfish anywhere.
Yeah, so you know, Guy, they catch some extremely large blue marlin in the Gulf of Mexico.
They do.
Are there any plans of doing some, maybe going to some of the rigs and potentially tagging some of those big blue marlins there?
Well, other organizations cover that ground. So the Hart Institute at Texas A&M do a lot of marlin tagging there. And so we don't want to duplicate other people's effort. So we stay in the Caribbean and Central America.
Oh, so you guys worked out a territorial thing.
Well, it's
which
very
we love.
expensive, Rick, and each tag is about $5,000. And so you don't want to be doing the same work somebody else did.
Well, there I see an opportunity for the foundation. So, Guy, while we're talking about this, guys, if you want to sponsor a tag through the foundation, how can they get a hold of you? Because I think that would be one way for some of our Blue Marlin viewers to give back. How cool would that be?
And we've had a lot of people do that. So you can go to guyharveyfoundation.org, and there's a form where you can make a donation, and you can actually specify whether you want it to go to the Marine Science Education Initiative that we do in Florida, or to tagging. And I'm on the research part. Jessica does the education part. So she's the best person to reach on that. But we got to increase our knowledge on all the different billfish species that we have, because we know actually very little about them. For example, the black marlin, in particular in the Eastern Pacific, we know virtually nothing about them.
All right. Thank you so much for giving me some of your time tonight.
Pleasure.
You've done a great job. Don't go anywhere, because we're going to have some pizza when we get done here.
Great.
After we get done.
Tight lines, everybody.
All right, Bree, where are we going next?
All right, it's time to dial in your Phillips and Jordan Southwest Region offshore report with Captain Ronnie Houston. So, Ronnie, tell us what we're catching.
Well, you know, in the Phillips and Jordan Southwest region, obviously marlin is not common in the Southwest region, but I'll tell you what, the mangrove snapper is. Now, with the passing of the full moon this past week, the daytime bite has been a little bit slow for quality mang. But fishing the moon in depths of 150 to 200 feet of water and chumming, but only to the point just to get the fish fired up. Now, I've had the opportunity this week to fish offshore day and night, and chicken rigs and knocker rigs really did work well. But I got to tell you, flatlining with light jig heads has really seemed to work best for us and catch the bigger fish. Now, like I always mention in my reports, especially on the offshore side, having a variety of cut squid, herring, sardines is a must. And it seems at times the fish will only key into one bait. And this week it seemed like the fish really keyed in on frozen sardines by just simply cutting the tails off, flatlining back, letting that scent, the profile of the bait. Them bigger mangs took it at night. And I got a picture this week, compliments of Qualified Construction, the guys who took me on that offshore bite for the mangrove snapper.
All right, what else you got this week, bub, offshore?
Next piece is going to be the red snapper. Now, fishing daytime and nighttime this past week to figure out the best bite time worked well for us now. Depths for the red snapper were 200 feet and beyond, but the best bite for quality fish was right at about 280 feet. Now, we did catch fish shallower, but the quality wasn't as good. So being on the bottom with cut baits, and then again, they were only keyed into one bait as well. As slow pitch jigs also played a good role in bouncing off the bottom. I believe that was more of a reaction bite, something different than what the fish we're used to seeing. And I got another picture this week with Qualified Construction with some nice red snappers we caught out there in 280 feet of water.
Nice.
Before I go inshore, you know, guys, still got till September for the CCA Star, so you got to make sure you're registered, because if you're not registered and you catch a nice fish or a tagged redfish, you won't be able to get one of those prizes. So please make sure you're registered for the CCA Star. Next species is going to be the redfish on the inshore side. Now, Captain Danny Latham reports the east side of Pine Island Sound at mid-tide along the mangrove shoreline and Independent Islands, and look for tide lines that are not real grassy, because they're real grassy, they'll get covered up with your bait, or they might drag your line away from the area you want to be fishing. But once you find the fish, they seem to be grouped up. Now, small pinfish and cut sardines or ladyfish seem to be working well for Danny. He also says if you're finding fish along the bushes when the tide is lower, don't hesitate to use quarter-ounce to half-ounce Johnson Gold Spoons, especially if there's schools of mullet, or simply using topwater walk-the-dog logs in chrome like the Berkeley J. Walker 100. I'm always talking about the 120. Some redfish are keyed into that 100. That also seems to be working well. I've got a picture this week down in the southern end of the region of a redfish recently caught while fishing with Captain Chris Broom. Last species is going to be the trout. Now, at the northern end of the region right now, Charlotte Harbor, Bull and Turtle Bay, deeper water with grass and potholes. You want to concentrate right now in depths of 3 to 5 feet due to the heat. And with all this rain now, guys, the water's changing colors. But in the same area where the water gets low, the outer edges of the sandbars are also holding fish in the 3-foot range off the edges of the sandbars. Look for areas of birds and schools of fry bait due to that fresh water is a good way to find the fish. Now, 1/8 ounce to quarter-ounce jig heads with Berkeley shrimps, bounce in the potholes, or to locate them and draw them in so you can power pull down. You might want to use the Bass Assassin Oval Quick Hooks to draw them in. You can also use topwater walk-the-dog lures, or simply chumming live pilchers to get them going. We'll also draw those trout in. I've got a nice picture this week with Captain Danny Latham catching a nice trout up in the northern end of the region. Looks like the rain's going to let up this week towards the end of the week, and the winds are going to go to the east, guys. Get out and catch you some fish.
Hey, Ronnie, quick question for you. You know, I know you like the oval cork over the traditional popping cork. Can you tell me why?
Well, number one, with that over cork, I like the way I can throw it a long ways. It doesn't get caught up in the wind. It's not as long as those other corks that are long. And then I just simply, put the beads down, use a short P as a leader, a 1/4 ounce jig head, gets the job done, and light 20-pound braid, cast that cork a long way.
All right, man, thank you so much for clearing that up for us. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Phillips and Jordan Southwest region. Ronnie says inshore, tarpon, beaches and passes, Marco Island to Stump Pass, early in the morning along the coast using live pinfish, herring, crabs, and 5 to 8 inch swim baits. And then offshore, permit, wrecks, offshore reefs, and towers, Marco Island to Fort Myers Beach using live crabs for those permitos.
That was a great cork question, Rick.
Yeah?
Loved it. You haven't asked that one before. All right, the further you go in the Star-Tron Central West region, the more you should know. So let's get the Marlin 411 with Captain Jeff Page. Go for it, Page.
Well, kind of what Ronnie said, in our region, we're not well known for marlin fishing, but if you get out there and start out, due west, even a little bit of north to it, and start out in 600 feet on out, you can catch marlin here. They're usually the white and the blue marlin. And Chris Seeger, who does it a lot, he says it's a good idea before you go out way out there, do a little homework for satellite imagery, temperature breaks in the Gulf. And then once you're out there, pay attention for weed lines and birds and color changes as well in the water. Chris likes to start out with at least 4 to 6 baits in his spread when he's trolling. And he'll use different types, dredges, rigged ballyhoos, squid, all work real well, real effective. And he usually does that in the morning or late in the evening or late in the afternoon, early evening. During the day, if you want to still fish for him, it's a good idea to deep drop. And my photo tonight comes from Captain Chris Seeger with a nice shot he got on a Family Matters out in the Gulf. Staying offshore, Rick, the red snapper bite. I heard Ronnie talking about the mangrove snapper, and it's been really strong as well. 120 feet out to 150, even 200 feet. That's going to be your better size fish for your limits. Guys are still having no problem catching their limits. They're catching them on hard bottom areas as well as ledges, live pinfish. But Ronnie mentioned something. It's a good idea to have a variety of baits, from squid to frozen sardines to some live pennies, filtered thread fins if you can get them. Stop on your markers as you're going out into the Gulf and sabiki up some. It takes sometimes as simple as 5-10 minutes. My photo tonight of the red snapper is from our friend, south part of our region, Captain Bo Johnson, aboard Boxham. I believe he's got a front runner, Rick.
Yes, he does. All right, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, let's go inshore.
Okay.
All right, let's go. So, with these hot water temperatures, Rick, and you've done this with me, it's a good idea to pick out some of the deeper grass flats. And a lot of times you can do it by just looking on your Google Maps phone app on your phone and zoom in, and you can find deeper areas of grass. And I'm talking 7, 8, even 10 feet deep. And you get over those things and set up on a good drift, popping cork rigs like Ronnie was talking about, or topwater like the Jaywalker and the chrome or bone pattern. That chrome pattern Jaywalker shows up really good. My trout photo tonight is of a happy lady angler with Captain Brian Marcy of Breakwater Charters. And my last species tonight, snook. Still some really good snook fishing, especially at night. Our water temperatures have been up near 90 degrees, and the nighttime bite's been a lot better. From Stump Pass back to the Venice Jetty, and from the Venice Jetty north to Blackburn Point Bridge. And Captain Dave Parmalou, he loves using live ladyfish, silver mullet on free-line rigs with, at least 40-pound fluorocarbon. And if it's lures you like, it's tough to beat that bone or chrome pattern in the suspending stick shaft. And my last photo tonight, that's Captain Josh Strayhorn with one of the many big snook that were caught in the Big Art Memorial Tournament out of the Manatee River last weekend.
All right, Paige, so I got a couple questions for you. You showed some big snooks tonight, picture-wise. If a guy wants to catch a big snook, what would you suggest he do?
I'd suggest go at night and have live heavy tackle like a tarpon rod, and have live ladyfish, live silver mullet, live grunt, and I mean when grunt big as your hand, and put that thing out there with the current and just let it go.
All right. So how you gonna rig it, bub?
I like to nose rig them. That way while I'm reeling them in, he'll swim back at me. But a lot of the young bucks, they like to butt hook them so that they swim down. So it's just depending on what you want your bait to do.
All right, so they're using a big, heavy 100-pound leader for those big fish at night. Does it really matter?
Maybe not 100 like you and Billy Ahlstrom did that time on the Sportsman Adventures, but at least 60 to 80, yes.
All right, well, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the daiquiri deck hotspots from the Central West region. Captain Page says inshore, snook, fish the inlets and the passes from Venice Jetty north to Longbow Pass at night with live free-line ladyfish, silver mullet, or grunts on the outgoing tide. And then offshore, mangrove snappas fish the ledges and the hard bottom areas in 90 to 120 feet of water off of Venice with live pinfish or pilchards on a 3 to 4-0 light wire trocar circle hook and 20 to 20 or 30 pound fluorocarbon leader, Bree.
Do you care to elaborate on that Sportsman Adventures show he was talking about?
Oh, he's talking about we were fishing in Boca Grande in the past. We was using 100-pound braided hollow core line and 200-pound leader. But we were using grunts this big, throwing it up the pylon, locking the drags up on heavy spinning rods because of the retrieve ratio.
Yes.
And when you'd get that bite, boom, in that chute, in the 2 days of fishing, we had 5 fish over 40 inches, 2 of them being a 43-incher and a 42-incher, which is the second biggest snook. As you know, the biggest snook I ever caught was by your house.
So that was my next question.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
That was right there by your house, Danny Barrow, a fish that was almost 48 inches long. 34, 35 pound fish. That's July 24th, 2012. To be exact.
Wow, you can remember that.
Because it's an important date.
An important date. All right, if you're cruising around Florida, do it with a cause and rock the Conserve Florida's Fisheries license plate. Your $25 goes straight to supporting clean water, restoring habitats, protecting marine life, and teaching folks about our coastal environment. Make sure you get yours at your local DMV or online at redfishtag.com. Join the Redfish Tag family right here.
All right.
All right, big runs, big jumps, and even bigger stories are on the horizon for you in the Casa Vieja Southeast region with Captain Jimbo Thomas. So keep those lines in, and we'll be right back. But before we go, if you would like to be a part of our next studio audience for our Snook Show coming up next week, go to our website at FloridaInsiderFishingReport.com and sign up. We'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala. Fenwick, feel everything. Phillips and Jordan, building critical infrastructure that matters. Castaway Coffee, one taste and you'll be hooked. Sportsman's Adventures with Captain Rick Murphy, fishing for adventure. Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome. And Taco Marine, master the catch.
Today's Powerful Tip is all about the new Powerful One Pump. Several years ago, we had a goal to operate 2 Powerful anchors off of 1 single pump. We looked at every pump manufacturer here in the United States and overseas, and we got the same answer from all of them. It's impossible to run 2 poles off of 1 pump in the same space. But you know Powerpole specializes in making the impossible possible. So today, I'd like to show off our new Powerpole One Pump, machined out of billet aluminum right here in Tampa Bay. All of the valves and engineering from 2 pumps is built into this 1 single footprint. It has a new quick release valve with a spring-loaded pin that's easy to get in and out of the boat. It's so good, it saves half of the space in your boat. It cuts down on your install time, and it uses 41% less amp draw. The Powerpole One Pump is precise, it's smooth, and it's quieter than ever before. To learn more about the One Pump, go to powerpole.com, and that's your Powerpole tip.
So much stuff that we're putting in boats now. It's cool to be able to save a little bit of room.
I agree.
All right, there you
Good
go.
job,
The One
Powerpole.
Pump, guys.
The one pump. All right, we're checking in with our last captain in the Casa Vieja Lodge Southeast region, where we're going to keep on trolling with Jimbo Thomas to get that lucky marlin bite. Close us out, Jimbo.
Oh, boy. Well, while we get him on the phone, I'll go ahead and start. Here, Jimbo's on a roll here for the last 3 weeks. All right, so he's going to start off with marlin. He has a good chance of catching them when they like to use 50s and 80 tackle rigged with horse ballyhoo, mackerel, or mullet, or even a medium large lure with a 9.0 to 12.0 hooks and 200 to 300 pound mono. When it comes to lures, there's a lot of debate on what the colors and what sizes to use, but in his experience, it really doesn't matter. It's just whatever lure you happen to drag over their heads.
Oh, that's so Jimbo.
Most of the blue marlin encounters are offshore in the blue water from 500 feet on out. And when using natural baits, you want to troll those baits at 6 knots. Is that right, Jimbo?
That's right. Natural baits, you don't want to go so fast, but if you're trolling some lures, you can pick up the speed a bunch and also cover a lot of ground. Now, if you're using lures, want to use some bigger hooks, 9.0 to 12.0 hooks, heavy leader, 300 to 400 pound mono leaders. And when it comes to lures, you can use whichever color, but everybody has their preference. My experience, it doesn't really matter. You just got to drag it over their heads. Now, most of the blue marlin that we encounter here in the southeast region are offshore in deep water from roughly 500 feet on out, and most of them we catch this time of the year while we're out there dolphin fishing. A lot of times we'll put a lure out there, especially if there's not a lot of seaweed, while we're hunting for dolphin, and that's where we do get our marlin bites. We'll also catch an occasional white marlin, and since they're a little bit smaller, 60 to 80 pound range, we can handle them on lighter tackle. And most of the whites that we catch are in the winter and in the spring on trolled baits and live baits that are intended for sailfish. And we average about 1 white marlin and 1 blue marlin a year. But if we really targeted them, we'd probably catch a lot more. Now, I got a photo here. Got a blue marlin here that we caught aboard the Thomas Flyer that ate a lure off government cut while we were out looking for mahis last summer. And again, so we're going to head off there looking for dolphin now. And since we're heading out there looking for marlin, we might as well look for those dolphin along the way. There's been some schoolies out there anywhere from 6 to 15 miles offshore or further around scattered weed lines. And most of the schools have had birds working over them. And if you're lucky enough to find something floating, they're going to be holding fish as well. We've been catching most of the fish on cut bait, and then any larger fish we've come across, we've been pitching live baits to. And when the grass hasn't been too bad and it's been a real nuisance out there, we've been getting bites trolling small feathers, lures, and rigged ballyhoos. Now, a lot of these dolphin have been on the small side, so remember that they have to be 20 inches to the fork of the tail to be legal. And if you get into a school of small ones, don't sit there and try and catch them all, trying to get some bigger ones and beat them up. Well, let's let them grow up. So if you hit a school of small ones, move on, look for some bigger ones. Now, I got another photo here, and this is Russ Chatless with a nice mahi that we caught aboard the Thomas Flyer about 2 weeks ago.
Nice. Tell us about the bonefish.
Yep, and that's one of the bigger ones lately. All right, so moving inshore, we got bonefishing on the flats at Biscayne Bay. It's been really good first thing in the morning before that water on top of the flats gets too hot. Look for tailing bonefish on the inside and outside flats from Soldiers Key south to Angelfish Creek on the outgoing tide. Now, after that water gets warm, like noontime, look for the fish on the deeper edges of the flats where it's a little cooler and over light-colored bottoms so you can spot them a little easier. And then late in the afternoon or just after a rain shower when that water starts to cool down, those fish are coming right back up on top of the flats. Best baits have been small live crabs, live shrimp, and also crab pattern flies. And then the snook fishing remains good throughout the whole southeast region. The fish have been schooled up in the inlets. They're also being caught around the piers, the jetties, and the lip bridges and docks of the ICW. Live baits are working best. Pilchards, herring, mullet, croaker, whatever you got is going to work most likely for whatever part of the region you're in. They're also being caught on artificials, flare hawk jigs, and soft plastics. Now, in the inlets, they've been biting the live baits drifted near the bottom on any tide. And when the water's been murky, they've been biting throughout the day. And when the water's been
clear, which it has been a little clear the last couple of days, the mornings and evenings have been the best. And then around the bridges and the piers, the outgoing tide in the evening is when those snook are going to bite the best.
All right, bud. Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the ACR hotspots from the southeast region. Jimbo says catch and release tarpon and snook in the inlets and off of the beaches, fishing in the evening on both live and artificial baits. And then offshore, head offshore in search of the dolphin on the troll with live or cut baits around the grass patches, debris, and look for the bird activity there, Bree.
We took the kids out this weekend and saw all of that, and they were a little undersized, so we threw them back. But they're babies out there, so they're going to grow up. And they're gonna get bigger.
That's right.
And we're gonna catch them.
Cool.
All right, the Marlin Mayhem is just winding down for us, but heating up for you. So get out there and remember, it's all about timing, tackle, and as Dr. Guy Harvey says, patience. But stay with us, and we'll be right back to preview what's on the line next week.
All right.
All right, next week, it's our live studio audience show, and we're talking snook. So make sure to sign up and tune in.
I came back home just in time,
You
didn't I?
did. Marlin snook, woohoo.
Hey, our board, it actually changed quite a lot from the time we started. I mean, you went full-blown artwork over there.
Full-blown Guy Harvey.
Little covered up scene, yeah. How many times have you had that, you know?
Not enough times. That's what I'd
Triple-headed
say.
blue
to that.
marlin's pretty exciting, I have to say.
They had record blue marlins this year in Tropic Star.
For 8 months, Rick, it hasn't stopped since November last year.
Will you take me?
Well, you need to come.
Okay.
But you know what's also changed the
We
blue
gotta
marlin fishing, of course, is the introduction of sonar.
We got to say
Thanks, Guy.
All right.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Bye.
Catch him up.